Hi, good afternoon. It's Ross with the Center of Balance and Effective Communication. Hey, today we're going to talk about how change evolves in your world, and it's Friday, so we're going to tell you a couple different stories. I love stories. In a wonderful book called The Upside of Irrationality by Dan Ariely, he's written just some magical books. They really unfold that knotted mess that says we think we know about how things are going to be different when we're attempting to make them changed. And he shows you, quite frankly, there's a lot of things that unfold very differently than we know they're going to. An example would be like, today I'll tell you two stories, okay? One is from this book, and it says if you had 48 hours or 72 hours to do something awesome, like come up with a brilliant creative idea, and you said, okay, yeah, I'll do that. And you started writing, and you wrote down some quotes, and you did some things, and you maybe said, what would my hero say? And you started really rolling. And then they stopped you, and they said, oh, by the way, you have 48 hours to do it, or 72 hours to do it. And if you do it and get it done, we're going to give you $150,000. Now, kind of cool. Nice. Do you think that $150,000 is going to help your creative process? Or do you think it's going to hurt your creative process? Well, we'd all like that opportunity to see, wouldn't we? And yet, the truth is, those kind of carrot and the stick rewards benefit greatly if you're doing something mechanical. If you're doing mechanical thinking, you're putting checks in boxes, you're putting screws into wood, you're doing something very mechanical. You might stay later that night, you might not read magazines as much, you might not go on Facebook and watch things like this, but you might work in order to get that high process up. But if it's in something creative, what's it going to make your brain work harder, or you squeeze your eyes harder when you think about it, or chew more pencil tips while you're what's it going to do differently? It's actually, what they've proven scientifically, is it creates great paralysis in us if it's a creative side thought. It freezes us. Wow. Huh. Fascinating, huh? Very different than what we would think. Because how often have we said, you get your math homework done and I'll give you a reward. You write that paper, you do your spelling, you do this, you do that, you write this nice article, and boom, we'll reward you this way. And actually what they're doing is freezing you. They're de-incentivizing you. Okay? So that's a lot of the change. That's step one, where a lot of the things, when we ask for our life to be different and we go to evolve and grow, we're making that rush into being a whole person, we think we know how it's going to evolve, and actually we really don't, because if it's going to come from a creative side, you go to seminars and they go, if you do this, we'll do that, and if you do this, we'll do that, we'll do it. Some of that incentive is actually going, if what you're being asked to do is be creative, some of that incentive that's being put right in front of you, and it's awesome and it really gets you excited, is actually making it harder for you. It's hurting the creative process. And if you think you're going to be a weller person, you're going to be that much more a healthy person in every facet of your life, how much of it do you think is going to be mechanical as you make those changes? And how many of you think it's going to be creative as you make those changes? Misty's in the background. She's helping with this Facebook Live today. Thanks, Misty. She loves the piles of leaves, by the way, just romping in them. So how much of your new unfoldment or your development is going to be creative, and you have to use a different kind of incentive program to help yourself get along, to get the best out of yourself as you evolve. You know, it's not just 1 + 1 + 1 + 1. That equation doesn't work when you're manifesting creativity. Here's the other one, and this is a mainstay of the teachings in the Center for Balance and Effective Communication. We talk about this in the book that Dr. Tammy Post and I wrote called The Healing Before the Healing. And we talk about something called the spin drift study. And it came to our attention. The study was done in Salem, Oregon, and it's such a mind bender, it's hard even to think about it. What they did is they got a bunch of, very highly scientifically done. Larry Dossey was the person who first wrote about this and brought it to our attention. Larry Dossey said that what they did is they got a bunch of college students together and they ran a completely scientific experiment. and they had plants. And they said there are plants, and there's moss, and there's these things there. And they were in containers, and they said, we're going to pour salt water on these plants. What's going to happen? It's going to kill the plants, right? Okay. So what they did is they got everybody together, and they taught all the science edge of what is salt, and why does it kill a plant, and what happens inside a plant, and when it's going for hydration, what happens there, and why does it kill it, what's going on. They taught them all the science, all the botany of it. Just what's up? Why is it going to die? Now they said, here's the deal. You are uniquely qualified. You know all the things. You have it down, and you can pick out what are the salient points, and you can use all that mechanical advantage and just say, I know X, Y, and Z about this, and therefore when I pray to attempt to keep these plants alive, I can really get there with a bunch of technicalities, and I know everything about it. Okay, big day came. Brought the people in. They were happy not to be in science class anymore, and they were like, okay, here's the plants. We're going to put salt water on these plants. What's going to happen, everybody? You're uniquely skilled and qualified now. Start praying, and while you're in this room, I want you to think about this only. I want you to plan about this only. I want you to work hard at this. I want you to use all your knowledge, your specific, tuned knowledge to save these plants. Ready, go. Pour the salt water on the plants. What happened? The plants died. Pour salt water on plants, they die. Okay? Nothing happened. The praying and the technical science knowledge didn't help those plants an iota. Okay? Meanwhile, in another group of college study, work study students getting paid the same amount of money, they were just said, "Oh, come back another day and we'll have you do what you're supposed to do." They didn't train them, they didn't teach them. And when they came back into the room, they got the plants and they said, "Oh, by the way, we're going to pour salt water on these plants, and guess what's going to happen? Plants are going to die, right?" And everybody goes, yeah. And they said, "Here's what I want you to do. If you're in this room, while you're looking at these plants, the only thing you can think or pray," they didn't care if they were praying or thinking, "think or pray about these plants is, please help it. Please help it." How non-specific is that? Very non-specific, right? So they said, "Ready? Here we go. Here we go. Everybody ready? Please help it. Pour salt water on the plants. Please help it. Please help it. Please help it." What happened? Nothing happened. The plants just kept growing as if they had been given regular water, a regular hydration cycle. Nothing bad happened to those plants. How do we wrap our brain around that? How often do we learn new science, new this, new that? If I only knew more, if I did this, I'd get the job promotion. If I knew that, I'd be... It's not how the universe works. And so might we have to, if we're going to get more and let the universe help us and align with it as we go to make change, might we have to get a little more on the please help it side? Might we not have to give up how we traditionally pray and use please help it? It's a vast array of things you could do differently to align with it differently. Okay, one is incentives don't work the way you think they do if they're in creative situations, and when you're going to learn your life and evolve your life, believe me, it's going to be creative. And when you are loading on technical knowledge, it's not going to help when it gets to the creative process, and it didn't help those plants a bit. Please help me. Please help me. So when you're looking at a task you've got to get done, what if you just got help from the world itself, from the etheric, from that which you don't know, and say, just please help me, and how much stronger, how differently might that day be? Hey, we're headed into a beautiful weekend. You can see that the cold weather in the morning just about sapped all the color out of the leaves. It's fall's definitely here now. I hope you and yours are safe, and I hope you're doing things that make you safe and at the same time simultaneously grow and expand in your lives. I love you, and I love what you love, and I love those that you love. I'm Ross Cook with the Center of Balance and Effective Communication, and I hope these lessons go forward with you in the next few days. And I know they're kind of quizzical. Just go forward with them and trust them. Just loosen up. I appreciate it a lot. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. We'll meet again tomorrow. And Jomo.